we are back to 2018 LVL Spring Term. My name is Vulcan. With me is Dactum, your shoutcasters entering our set of matches with coming back from that game with FIT. I gotta say, against TUP. One thing I can say from that game is, I think the commissioner said himself, is you gotta ban out that Zoe.
Yeah, there's a huge amounts of plays from that game, very high level. These are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in this league. So it was a very interesting game. We saw the Urgot getting picked out and the Yorick. So they were able to show creativity, but they were also able to perform and show us how to use these picks in this current match.
But it's also the fact that despite Asidia and leaving TUP in Monsterville Protegium, it's in a way you could still sense the original TUP that we saw in the first term, where they still go with the split pushing top. And not to mention, I felt like I saw the soul of TUP. One thing that instead of Asidia carrying on TUP, now we're seeing Bam performing so well on this Zoe. But now, moving on to our next game with iAcademy Game Changers versus Adams Supreme Authority. Now, this isn't really a good time for ADU's debut because of the fact that their first 2 games were all defeats.
Yeah, we saw their first 2 games today not showing up too well in the group stage, in the stages that they have played in the past 2 games. The first game, they tried too much scaling compositions. They kind of edited it on the second game, wherein they tried more early game champions. However, it still didn't seem too cohesive with that top Malphite not doing a lot of work in their games, but they have been slowly adjusting it. They had a better early game, so we'll see if they are able to finally make a solid team composition and close out games.
Because the one thing that I did see with that game with ADU is that it took some time for them to ramp up. When the Zed did get fed in the mid lane, they did rotate towards the bot lane. But in the end, as you said, Dactum, I have to agree with you. I felt like the top lane was really unchecked because the Cho'Gath just pushed it all the way to the inner turret. Not just that, it even took it down solo. Plus, it was kind of hard to stop the Cho'Gath being unchecked.
Definitely. It seems like they did have really good awareness on when to go about their power spikes. However, it seemed like in the top lane side, Malphite was just going on too far behind later on to the game. That Cho'Gath was too massive later on, was doing thousands of true damage with that feast. We saw him flash, feast, Zed, and the other carries multiple times in that game. So we need to see ADU adapt to their playstyle, maybe focus more on their maybe top lane picks, because so far their top lane picks haven't been working out with that Mundo and that Malphite. So we'll have to see how they work on this game.
So let's see if actually for ADU entering this match against iAcademy, let's see if they can actually get their first win here as we are moving on to the drafting phase. This is going to be iAcademy Game Changers on the blue side versus ADU Penguin Authorities on the red side.
So iAcademy banning out that Sejuani right away. It is one of the junglers that have been picked and banned a lot in this tournament. Has good engage, good tankiness, and of course Kaisa coming in from ADU.
I think we did mention in the previous match talking about the Kaisa in the previous week, but kind of nice to see that's being banned out. Also, an interesting ban coming focused onto Import, which is, in our opinion, I think one of the players that you should watch out for game changers from iAcademy.
Yeah, and the Zoe getting banned out again. I mean, Zoe last game was really massive, was able to really put down Set, who has been having a dominating performance. So it's also the champion's ability to be dominating in the current meta. So now it's being banned out. Mundo being picked out here at Game Changers side. I wonder if they'll be able to pull this off. They're maybe trying to say, hey, Penguin Authority, you tried out this Mundo, we're gonna try it out too. Maybe they can pull it off. Let's see how they're gonna do this.
Well, the Zac has been picked. Maybe we can expect the same behavior with the Olaf, but no, it'll be the Graves being hovered from iAcademy Game Changers. It'll be a lock-in. So, a Mundo picked first, then for ADU, they've picked against it with a Fiora. That's interesting.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting top lane matchup. They're both really good at scaling. Mundo is more tanky, while Fiora is gonna be better at split pushing because she does so much damage to towers, while Mundo has more utility in these team fights, being that really huge front line. If you guys don't know, Mundo was buffed a lot at the recent patch from 60% HP to 100%, so you basically have to kill him twice now with that ultimate up.
In a way, you're forced to pick up one of the grievous ones. Maybe an early Executioners from the Fiora won't be a surprise, but now onto the Phase 2. We did see bans on the Soraka, the Corki, not to mention, again, Lulu and Janna being removed because we did see ADU immediately jumping on the Nami, which has went up the tier when it comes to supports. Nami is actually a bit more powerful compared to a Janna, so I think for ADU, pinching that pull even more.
Yeah, and what's really interesting coming from ADU is they do opt into showing this Vayne right away. So the Vayne pickup is really good against the Mundo, I guess, because she has that true damage. There is a popular Vayne on-hit build as well that does so much damage to health scaling targets. However, Vayne is really weak during the laning phase, which is where this Ezreal does shine the best. So it's gonna be up to ADU to survive that laning phase. We'll have to see whether or not they can pull it off, because we have seen before that they do have tried these scaling compositions but have been a little bit lackluster at the start, so their execution later on has failed. So we really need to see them perform best in their bot lane, because this will make or break their team comp.
I gotta agree with you there, Takno, because this is actually a chance for ADU to at least get 1 point in their opening debut in the week 2 of the LVL. So a lot of pressures on the ADU side, definitely. And I think when it comes to execution, ADU tends to get a bit slow start, but when they do get kills, when they feel confident, you would expect them to make those aggressive approach towards maybe the bot or top. But in the end, we did see in the previous match where ADU played against Bulsu a bit of indecisiveness with the Zac. So I'm hoping that we may not see the same thing here, but for Game Changers also not having a good performance last week in the first week of the LVL. One of the 7 pioneering schools entering here, they have to show ADU that we've been here at least a term, we've picked up some things that you may not know. So this is actually a match where both teams have to show what they've got.
Definitely I Academy, one of those 7 pioneer schools, as you said, but they have also been showing not such a great performance recently in terms of their overall stats, but it is up to them to show us what they can bring to this game as one of those 7 teams.
I mean, what do you think about Import from the stats you've been seeing, Taknum? I mean, Game Changes as of the players, I think one player worth pointing out was Import.
Yeah, Import has been sort of performing well. However, as a team, they haven't been performing well as a cohesive unit. So we'll have to see them as a team perform in these kinds of fights.
So let's move on to the Rift here. This is going to be a high-stakes match for both teams, because ADU, when they start their first week of their LVL run, in the group stages, it's not gonna reflect well once they don't have the nice momentum going to next week's LVL. So ADU, let's hope for the best for the Penguin Authorities, but for Game Changers, same scenario. So you get to picture this 2 teams, guys. I mean, they're playing on the field here, trying to make something or trying to ramp up their run in the group stages.
Yeah, and what's also important to note is this Azir against Karma is a pretty variable lane at the start. Karma has that good wave clear. Azir's wave clear has been nerfed at the start, so he will feel a lot more pressure in terms of wave clear and wave manipulation. Zac is gonna be there to have to dictate whether or not the swing of these lanes are gonna go, because if they have 2 losing early game lanes, it's really gonna be up to jungle pressure to really determine how these lanes are gonna swing.
And not just that, it's actually something that I want to see from Game Changers about the Graves entering this game. I mean, I think we can agree here, Taknum, that it's kind of, we're getting a bit tired, we're getting a bit bored to see in the jungles, mostly tanks. So I hope this Graves can make it a bit interesting here when you're talking about a match with Game Changers and Penguin Authority having something to prove here.
Yeah, definitely. And I really need to see how they're gonna show up with this late game comp. Azir, Vayne, these are characters and champions that haven't been really pushed forward that much in the current meta because of how slow they build up in terms of their power spikes.
Maybe he can start something here with the Graves here. I mean, maybe he can start a trend that let's kind of deviate from the whole meta about the tank junglers. We can actually make things with maybe the Graves, which did rise in popularity due to the recent buffs in patch 8.9. So Game Changers, I'm pretty much Excited to see how things will pan out in the jungle side. But when it comes to bot lane, we all know that the Ezreal, I think we did see this game before, Taknum, about something about the Ezreal picking up the tier. That's where it starts ramping up. You gotta stack it up, and to our surprise, medyo bigla yung Ezreal nag-spike bigla, and that really put, I think, ADU off guard in the booster game.
Yeah, Graves, as you were talking about, is one of those junglers that have good priority since he is so strong in these early game trades. However, he does not have that strong of a gank presence. So it is gonna be more on trying to deny Zac rather than snowballing.
I think we're seeing some actually in the top side, because we are seeing pings done by us, by the Mundo, that maybe some vision has been established, because they're not going for the gank in the top lane, despite the fact that Shiro has been constantly pressuring inside this Mundo. There is a vision ward there, so I guess good call from Game Changers not to go in there, but looks like for bot lane. Oh wow, that's actually a deep in Condemn coming from the Vayne. So I think this is the point where we're seeing Penguin Authority abusing the Ezreal's rather weak early game.
Yeah, Nami's heals just do so much during the laning phase that they can afford to take these trades. They can just simply repeat getting the damage again and again and reset these fights. So Ezreal did take a really bad trade there. He got low HP, and since Rakan doesn't have that sustain, it is a lot of pressure in this lane.
Yeah, now that we talk about it, it was kind of interesting to see in the ban side of Game Changers, they banned out what, the Janna and the Lulu on their side. So ADU, they picked up what, the Nami. So normally won't you see Ezreal with an Enchanter support, Takno?
Yeah, it is quite curious, especially since Nami is really good at this. Oh, but there is a flash.
Oh my god, looks like a flash has been perfect both sides. I think we dealt too long here, because I thought the Mundo would actually back off at that moment. I think he's feeling a bit too confident with the sustain he has from his passive. Not to mention the Dorian Shield has been picked up. I won't be surprised if ever Suede actually picks up the Bramble Vest in the first item, but we may expect a Ninja Tabi in his buy.
Yeah, quite unfortunate there though, because there's no actual advantage there since both of them used their flash. Mundo's teleport is still up, so even if he gets pushed out, he could still simply go back. So nothing really too huge there. Fiora did use her teleport as well, so this is a cue for Mundo to reciprocate with teleport.
And some trades happening in the bot lane, but I really like the fact that on this Fiora, Shiro immediately picking up the Executioner's calling towards that Mundo matchup. So yep. I guess in terms of regeneration, Swain has to be a bit more careful in his trade. Has to at least respect the fact that he cannot be an unkillable machine, and early Grievous Wound will be more than enough to at least stop this Mundo.
Yeah, Mundo is just really strong right now with the current buffs that you can't ignore not getting those Grievous Wound items. However, similar to champions like Skarner, what this ends up doing is that you're forced to stat into these items. So it sort of delays some of your power spikes later on. So it's one of those champions that kind of forces you into this bind.
But you can't ignore it, so that's actually a wise move from Shiro. Definitely, you gotta pick up that Exec to try and just stop that ridiculous regen once he hits level 6. But now I think we did see something in the jungle side. Something that I feel like Game Changers are going for here, Takno. I mean, I think we did see some invades happening, putting some vision, especially right now we are seeing a control ward near the red side of Penguin Authority.
Yeah, Graves really wants to have these sort of deep wards into Zac, and Zac is really strong at ganking. He wants to know where he is so he can tell their team where to expect the gank and respond to it accordingly. Also, Graves is very good at counter jungling, so having that information allows him to use his advantages in the early game, slow down the pace of the game, and attack them during their weaker points.
So for the Graves, I think he's doing his part here. I think that we're seeing a CS lead of quite a bit on the Graves side. Look at that, 22 CS lead in the jungle for the Graves.
Yeah, and around 20 CS also in top lane. This Mundo has been feeling some heat during the start, but now that he does have that consumable potions, he might have a sort of easier time. We saw him winning a few trades a while ago, so as the game progresses, it'll be a little bit harder for Fiora to kill the Mundo unless she gets that kill that she needs to snowball into.
I mean, I love the fact that the Fiora was picked into Mundo because of one thing, maybe her passive, the Vital Spots deal true damage, gets her a bit of regen to try and help sustain that lane. But I love how Shiro immediately, yes, like we said before, you gotta get that X-Egg, otherwise you will not kill this Mundo, or this Mundo will really push you in, and that's something that Shiro will not let happen.
Yeah, and really have to commend how ADU has been playing. So far, they have been surviving a lot of the early game pressure. Vayne isn't behind, and Fiora is putting up a lot of this pressure in top lane. So for them, a lot of their objectives have been slowly being reached just in the early game when we expected them to be falling behind because of how their composition scales.
Man, we're seeing a lot of slow down game pace here from both teams, but note that for on ADU side, they're quite in the control here, especially in the top and bot CS score. As you can see here, guys, I mean 76 to 54. That's something on the Vayne to be expected against an Ezreal who just picked up the pickaxe and the tier. So wait out for the scale here. But for ADU, looks like he was a bit blind there by the smoke screen, forcing out a flash from Sadenza.
Yeah,
good call.
Nami instantly flashes there, doesn't want to take any additional risks. However, I think Graves could have waited a little bit longer for that ultimate.
That's so well coordinated with a time flash from Import. But in the end, wow, I guess the first blood still fell to the hands of ADU. But did you see that flash?
Import really good at that mechanics, flashes the Azir wall exactly as it passes through over him.
Wow.
However, it still wasn't enough. He does end up going down. Good mechanical ability, however, it's still no dice against the Zac.
But that's some bulky points right there, man. Like, I love how Import timed that flash to just deny the knockup. But in the end, yes, Doctor, a kill was rewarded. The first blood too on the AD side. Balling, Rakan goes in with a knockup there. Crucial barrage. What a snipe from Oreo onto Simon. Now Sadenza left alone. That's a sweet double.
Yeah, Rakan's engage has to be respected at this point. As we said, Graves isn't that good at ganking. However, when your support has so much crowd control and CC, it is easy for him to layer in that damage.
Maybe we can see the next skill here. Looks like Suede is not really taking count with that Grievous Wound. He's not regenerating any health here. Look at the force down flash. A flash in there. One hit. Yes, he's done for the down.
Both top laners using flash again, trading again and again here in this top lane. This Fiora winning out that Grievous Wounds, really helping against that ultimate. You saw at the end, Mundo was almost healing up, but that Grievous Wounds slowing down that tick. If she didn't have that, she really might have lost that fight.
Man, I think that's a worth investment. Don't you think? That Executioners did the work here. I mean, you bought that early, but what did you get in return? One kill. So, and we do see in the items, that's why she dealt extra damage when she used the lunge. She has the Sheen to extra damage to proc it even more. So, great trade happening in the top side, Doctor, but I think some action happened here. Cloud Drake wise, I think not contested by Game Changers. Easy take.
Yeah, but I also want to talk about how Mundo is itemizing right now. He did pick up this this Spectre Scowl. He doesn't want to get that Spirit Visage. However, during this early parts of the game, he really needs that armor against the Fiora, because if he doesn't survive that laning phase, there is no late game for him to go to.
Definitely. I mean, I like I said before, I was expecting maybe a Tabi or a Bramble Vest coming from the Mundo, but getting a Spectre Scroll, that's like 1,200 gold. That's enough money you could have bought for a Bramble Vest instead.
Exactly, and this Magic Resist does nothing against this Fiora, who bought this item specifically for Mundo.
And
so there is some mismatch in how he's playing this as well. If he was choosing to build a little bit more defensively and against Fiora, he might have won that trade.
It looks like we're seeing a different dynamic here, Doctor, in the top lane, where itemization is favoring Shiro even more because of the fact of the Grievous Wound. But for the Mundo side, I mean, I know that the Ninja Tabi has been nerfed in the recent patches. I mean, 25 armor from the 35, it's kind of a huge deduction. But still, you gotta pick up that Bramble Vest to at least apply the Grievous Wound in return towards the Fiora.
Yeah, if Mundo did end up getting that armor, he might have won that. However, I think he was thinking more about the late game, right? Azir does a lot of damage in the late game, and that does give him value later on.
What's point of the ultimate when you're just crippled down by the Grievous One? Why is he even staying there? One more shot from the Vital Spot! What a shot again from Shiro. That is something that the Mundo has to take account for. He has to wake up and at least see. Finally, he picks up the Tabi. But do you think it's a bit too late here?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit late right now, especially since Fiora already has 2 kills under her belt. Mundo could have easily started on the early Tabi and Bramble Vest that we've seen shut down so many of these AD top laners, since it does return so much damage and negate so much damage. So a little bit questionable in his itemization at the start. If he does end up pulling it off later on, I would applaud him for coming back. However, it seems like right now it's not working out.
I mean, I know that the Spectre Scroll has that extra regen passive when you get damage dealt to you, but if you really can survive the damage being dealt to you, you won't really regenerate enough. Plus, not to mention, I think this Fiora is getting so much value from this previous one. The Executioner is calling, but now I want to see what's happening across the bottom, because I think we talked too much at top, and I think it's safe to say that Shiro is in control here. Everything is dimmed out. We're seeing the Zac on the river. No vision by Game Changers. Do they expect it? I don't think so. Looks like they're just gonna farm out the lanes here. And for Prodigy, he stands down. He just recalls back to base. Looks like the tension has eased up.
Yeah, the thing with Ezreal is that it's just so hard to gank him with the amount of mobility he has. But there,
Pustahan Taknum, do you think this Mundo is gonna survive?
I don't think he's gonna live unless he goes back right now.
There we go.
So yeah, Shiro, he's just pulling the trigger right away. Shiro trading every time he can, pops the ult of Mundo. He still has his ult up, so he still has priority in the next trade, and he can force this Mundo out if he wanted to.
At least at this point, he does have the Tabi, which can deny some damage from the Fiora. So now, we may have to wait for the Bramble Vest to be picked up here if he's going to get for it. But we're seeing some pings around the top side. The Zac is there, but also at the same time in the bot lane. I think Jesse will go for some playmakes here, but unfortunately gets spotted by a ward. I don't think he should have hit the ward. I know you don't get spotted, but I guess he just wants to clear things out here.
I think he wasn't sure whether or not he can pull off that gank. Ezreal still does have his flash up, and with that arcane shift, it does give him so much distance. So he just thought he could get that ward and maybe come back later on when he's a little bit more pushed in.
But at least we're seeing some adjustments here in the top lane Tacto. I mean, the Mundo is getting a bit less confident. He is at least standing far away from the Fiora and just using his briefcase to just see it.
Yeah, Mundo is really has to be careful about this Fiora. And Fiora going in again.
Oh, what's this? Could this be the Mundo getting killed? He gets the rebuff. He does not get the damage to him. Goes in for the launch, forced to pop his ultimate. So yeah, I think that's deceiving. You thought the Fiora would be taken down. He was feeling a bit too confident, but looks like here comes the Graves. Smoke screens in place. Gets caught off by Prodigy. Catches the Graves with the Chilling Smite. Nothing connects. They back up. Fiora with the parry. No damage connecting just yet. Okay, it's gonna be a cool off in the top lane. They're not going anything in more, but at least they said hello.
Yeah, responses from both sides trying to turn that tide. Fiora almost losing that at the start with the small bursts. However, she does catch up. Once she procced that ultimate, it just gave her a lot of healing, similar to even a Mundo ult. So she was able to recover and even gets the flash of Mundo.
And I think not just that, we're seeing a lot of action focus in the top lane side. Prodigy didn't do much in the mid lane, and I think we left it unchecked for a while. Look at the items here. Arcane snap out in the bot lane. There will be some action. Great flash from Oro to time it well. I think the Condemned registered a bit late. If he had flashed late, that would have been a free stun against the wall.
Yeah, a little bit late on that flash. If she used the flash on the positioning.
This Fiora is not just backing out here. I mean, you're 3-0-0. You have a training force, an execution calling. Why not go for that here? But in the red side, that's going to be the divide onto the Rakan. Sinigang, you're down for the count. As the Cloud Drake is live right now, we're seeing pinks here and there. Looks at the Fiora. It's a bit bad here. Going for the invade. Sweet take.
Adu really showing us what they have for this game. Fiora, 4-0 and 30 CS up, really denying this Mundo pick. And you have to question whether or not this Mundo is good.
Okay. Okay, Bubble, Aqua Princess connecting all throughout. Looks like he's forced to use that stopwatch. Just see free kill there in the mid lane, thanks to the 2 assists there by Anderson Penguin Authority. And on the Drake side, looks like we got news there. Cloud Drake has been secured. That's the second Drake of the game going to Penguin Authority.
Yeah, lots of picks and rotations around here. But like I was saying, like a lot of these teams have been picking this Mundo maybe to deny Adu, but it just doesn't seem to have been working. And quite recently, with the amounts of pressure that the other teams have shown up, Adu particularly has shown up this game since they haven't been behind in any of the lanes we thought they would be behind in at the start of this game.
And now on Game Changer side, we are seeing the Bramble Vest being picked up here, but let's leave it to the Trinity Force to answer that Bramble Vest pickup quite late. I mean, this Fiora did pick up the threads to at least deny some magic damage from the Mundo. But again, onto the mid lane, I think we didn't see that. I think for the Azir and the Karma, they're really going for the late game here, picking up the Archangel Staff. And I think the next item for the Azir would be the Nashor's Tooth. Quite interesting to see that both of these mid laners, they just went for the late game items.
Yeah, and both mid lane and bot lane is already ahead right now. Both are 20 CS up, and even both have better late game win conditions, with that Azir and Vayne having huge scaling. And it's really interesting that they were able to get double Cloud Drakes.
Okay, Project going in here. He did get condemned away from the Vayne. Prison did connect. Rakan trying to go for the charge, but that was a great tsunami, just knocking up 2 members. Simon gets a double. Can Sway get a snipe with the briefcase? We're watching, but he's getting just kited by the Vayne into the brush. He survives, but in the end, a wipeout in the brush side. But that's not just finished just yet. Look at GC under the tower, commanding the soldiers there to chase at the Mundo. I think a summary would be, wow, 4-2 in favor of Adams and Penguin Authority.
So much trades there. Vayne was really low for really long. Was able to use that invisibility to juke around the edges of that fight. Really good play coming from Adu. Huge outplays.
Huge outplays indeed, Taknum. And I think it's something that Simon feels confident at this point, because he does have the Infinity Edge and now picks up the Static Shift. But one thing that we're seeing adjustments on the side of Oro is that he, instead of waiting things out for the Trinity Force, I think he needs to get a gauntlet right now. But break it down for us, Taknum, the replay.
Oh, we have actually a replay here in top lane while that was going on. Looks like Fiora is gonna really look for another kill here. Speed it up a little bit, where she actually ends up diving this Graves.
So a switch up did happen here in the replay under the tower. That's going to be Shiro actually diving Hio. I don't think he respected the fact that Fiora was fed, so I think that's what we missed here. While the clash happened in the bot lane, signals and engage. Oro trying to back away, but look at Hio bursting down the tsunami. No left, that's gonna be it. Condemn has pushed back the Grave, and the charm connects onto Simon. A free kill, barrage for the snipe. That's the double, and now is it over? Yes, it is, because the Zac is backing away. Spawns the Herald. What's this? It's going to be Game Changers pushing for their first turret of their game.
Oh, but it looks like they are rotating down. Fiora is trying to get something again at top lane.
Oh, red buff. That is torture. Someone should just call this quits here, because the Mundo is just getting tortured in the top lane, getting slowed by the red buff plus the previous one. This is great pressure from Game Changers. You can see that the Mundo is down, cannot do anything at this point. 4 members in the bot, take down the turret, that's their second.
Game Changers does get a few kills in return, is a little bit over 3,000 gold behind, but you have to start asking, what do they do once this Fiora leaves top lane? He's just a monster right now at 193 CS, 50 CS above Dr. Mundo right now, and at 6 kills. This is just a massive amounts of gold focus on this Fiora.
Man, that's big. 6-0-0. A perfect game so far. This Mundo finally picks up the Thornmail, but hopefully it's not too late, because I think we're seeing a shift here. Yes, the Rakan and the Ezreal will respond towards Shiro. He does get over the wall with his lunge.
Fiora is 4 levels above the Ezreal though, so it is kind of going to be hard for her to for them to fight this Fiora. Just like what we saw in top lane, Graves tried to proxy that lane when Mundo backed, but was just instantly dove by that Fiora and ends up dying.
And now Looks like the Mundo will go towards the bot lane. At this point, I think everywhere Suede goes is actually a bad place for him to go because he's very behind. At least he has the Soaring Mail. Ooh, looks like Jesse did miss the divide, but did bait out Import's flash there. So a Summoner Burn for an ultimate from Azir is a good trade.
Yeah, and it seems like iAcademy has been losing a lot of their options right now. Vayne is scaling, has the same amount of items as Ezreal, even though Ezreal's items is a lot cheaper and she scales well into that late game. She is gonna be doing so much damage to this Mundo since a lot of their damage is true damage and percent health. So you're gonna have to ask, what tools can Game Changers get back? It's gonna probably have to be a really crisp engage from that Rakan. We saw him do that engage in bot lane and they were able to turn the tides then. But other than that, it's gonna be really hard for them to turn these tides.
It's going to be a miracle for Game Changers to get a great engage from this Rakan. Yeah, I do agree with you, Takum. They have to wait things out here, but it's quite difficult when it's 5v4. This Mundo is not getting anywhere. At least he did get some attention to himself, but sure as godlike, this is actually a really, really bad situation for Game Changers to be at. Kudos to the Fiora though. I mean, getting 7-0-0, that's a first for ADU. This could be their win, perhaps.
Maybe ADU was baiting them into picking that Mundo from last game. Because it seems like it's really not working. It's 1-5 right now, and it's just being dove every time.
Oh, Arcane Comet there. What is this doing with a divide? On the tower! Barrier was used! Rakan misses the engage, and Prodigy goes in with the sack. Speed up from Import. Can he get a Q? Oh, Arcane just stabbed. Oh my god, a flash was burnt. A turnaround from Jesse. Sinigang, what you gonna do? Ignite was there. Is he gonna go down? Oh my god.
An amazing play coming from that. Azir was able to 2v1 and then dodge the Karma ult. Huge outplays. It seems like they baited in him. Rakan does get the kill with that Ignite. However, it seems like he just had so much pressure in that mid lane, getting 3 people just for 1.
Worth. That's pretty worth as you ask me, Takum, because the fact that the Ignite was the killing blow, he even baited it out with his shield from his service base. But let's have a replay of what happened.
Yeah, so here it looks like Graves dashes in, eats 3 autos, and the Comet. And looks like Azir was about to die here with the burst, but lives with that tick of barrier and then dashes right out. Karma follows him through this tower, and they have this mind game where he walks back and forth, flashes the meatball, and then ends up killing the Karma.
Oh, slick moves from Jesse, but note that he used the barrier at the turret, but he didn't need to actually use it because he didn't get any damage. So if he had the barrier at that moment, I would have been blown away there because that is actually slick moves from the Azir from Jesse.
Yeah, he was just trying to make sure not to die. If he just had one more hit, oh, Mundo dies again.
Okay, Dako. I think that's actually the news here is that Mundo is very behind 1-6-1. Boosting up this Fiora actually, propelling it towards the late game here, 8-0-0. But here comes the Baron.
Adu already going for this Baron Fiora.
They didn't need it though. I mean, this Fiora doesn't give a care in the world. Gets knocked from the Rakan. Can he get something here? One incredible damage coming from one hit. Oh, there's the crit. There's the parry. He did survive. Low on health. That's the stasis. The bind. Oh, close call from the bind. Did not channel.
Fiora 3v1ing at this point. He has both the ADC, the support, and the mid laner getting on her, and she doesn't even fall here. It's just so hard for iAcademy to get back through this game, especially since their comp doesn't offer a lot during the late game.
And now that this Fiora, you may be asking, why is this Fiora not dying at all? It has the Death Dance picked up, and now the Titanic Hydra. Extra HP. I was expecting a Revenant's Hydra, but looks like Chiro wants more defensive stats and wants to be a very powerful split pusher, taking down that inner top lane turret, eyeing the inhibitor in the top lane.
She really just doesn't want any comebacks coming here, using that Titanic Hydra as more of a defensive tool to deny any sort of plays on her.
This is what I like to call Tagnum as crunch time, because Game Changers, this will be the clash. This will be the moment. Can they fight back here as Jesse goes in with the divine? Did not connect. The Tsunami did boot a huge distance from Game Changers. Now they're scrambled around. 2 members remaining. Make that only 1. Can the Mundo do anything? Jesse with the incredible triple kill. Slick moves again from this Azir. 4 members removed. Looks like Sway can't do anything at this point.
Yeah, it seems like this is just gonna be the game. They were fighting in 2 different flanks there. Figora coming from the top side while there was a mid-level engage. And it looks like they are gonna just end up the game. Mundo just chilling in the base, waiting for it to end.
And wake me up when the game ends, so that would be it. Great game. I mean, it was actually Edison Penguin Authority finally bagging in 1 win in their first week of their LVL run in the second term. So, congratulations to Penguin Authority here for winning their first game.
Yeah, they finally showed us how to use these compositions that they were trying to use the entire games. In the start of it, we were criticizing them whether or not they could pull off these late game team fighting compositions. Even in game 1, we saw them have a lot of late game champions, but now they were able to actually use it and they performed well in this game.
I mean, Doctor, knowing what happened in the first term of the LVL, you know that teams didn't perform well in the first week, but gradually improved. That's what I want to see from both of these teams here who just played here. I want to see it from Adamson, and I also want to see it from iAcademy.
Definitely, they use every game as a sort of stepping stone for them to learn how their opponents work and how they play. That's how we saw Penguin Academy actually in the first game. Their scaling comps didn't work that well. They experiment a little bit with some early game champions, and now they were able to pull off their late game team
Penguin
fight.
Authority, Taknum.
Oh, Penguin Authority, sorry.
That's actually okay because it's kind of funny. Penguin Academy. Maybe that could be their name the next term. We'll see here once we come back, maybe for the next term of the LVL. But right now, again, we want to congratulate Adamson Penguin Authority for winning their first game. But for iAcademy Game Changers, still second week, we want to still see improvements here. But this will be ADU Spotlight. We've been the Shoutcasters. My name is Vulcan. With me was Zakno. After a short break, we will come back with TUP versus UPT, Oblation Esports, Monsterville Prodigium actually. So this next match will be interesting to see how will TUP fare against UPT.
Yeah, and we'll see you later. Stay tuned.
Trying to go for the charge, but that was a great tsunami, just knocking up 2 members. Simon gets a double. Can Sway get a snipe with the briefcase? We're watching, but he's getting just kind of by the fate into the brush. He survives, but in the end, a wipeout in the brush side. But that's not just finished just yet. Look at GC under the tower, commanding a huge distance from Game Changers. Now they're scrambled around. 2 members remaining. Make that only 1. Can the Mundo do anything? Jesse with the incredible triple kill. Slick moves again from this Azir. 4 members removed. Looks like Sway can't do anything at this point.
Yeah, it seems like this is just gonna be the game. They were fighting in 2 different flanks there. Figora coming from the top side while there was a mid-level engage. And it looks like they are gonna just end up the game. Mundo just chilling in the base, waiting for it to end.
And wake me up when the game ends, so that would be it. Great game. I mean, it was actually